Hey bot, sorry to bother, but Caster posted in a list of video on his channel that is, I guess to put it, uncomfortable. Could you take a look please? This message was sent to me by my friend. According to her, our friend hasn't been online and even ghosted us. I don't know what she's talking about, but it sounded weird, so I decided to click on the video. Now, on the surface, it seemed like my friend was just making a let's play video. But to understand what she meant, you need to look at this part.
What is this? Did someone mine this? I have to tell somebody about this.
Something is clearly wrong. There's a whole chunk that at least appears to go straight to the void. He even stops playing just to go tell people. Now, luckily, the server he was playing on is an SMP we all play, so I can go log in and go to the coordinates that he was at. Okay, it should be like right here. That's the lake he came from. There's nothing here. This raises a big question. What happened to the chunk? There's no way someone could have filled it in just a day. I tried a pie chart and even hack just to see if there was any hidden chests or any players, and there's nothing. However, I decided to go back to the video hoping there was a code or a comment I missed, and all I noticed at first was in the description it had a string of letters, and after putting that into a Caesar cipher decoder, it brings up the words, "Friendship is truth and lies are pain." My gut tells me something isn't right, so I investigated more, and around 8 minutes in, there was something. What the? Okay, wait, that has to be a code. That has to be a code. Hold up. After putting the code into a cipher decoder, nothing immediately popped up. I tried different types of ciphers, all giving random letters and numbers, until I landed on base 64. This link brings us to a new channel, Jake Pro Gamer 334. They have 3 videos posted, all being Let's Play videos. Out of curiosity, I decided to click on the first one. The video starts off like any other start to a new world. Our protagonist, Jake, writes on signs to communicate, mentioning that he is uncomfortable with others knowing his gamer tag, which I thought was a bit strange, but besides that, nothing else seems out of the ordinary. He gets wood, works on his house, and gets cobblestone, in between talking to us through signs. He mentions how he's getting picked on in school and how he wants friends. Jake is clearly lonely, and from the gameplay, seems paranoid or even scared, such as being too scared to go into a cave, and the fact that he is hiding his gamer tag. Around 6.5 minutes in, there's a gap in the video, which was explained in the description as needing to talk to his mom. However, while that's not out of the ordinary, why did he cut the footage? Assuming he was just talking to his mom, wouldn't he have just stayed in the AFK hole he made prior? Although I'm probably just trying to make something out of nothing, I thought it was worth bringing up. Besides that, I didn't notice anything, which was making me a little skeptical if these videos would have any clues to what happened to Caster. Trying to ignore that, I decided to click on the second video. The second video starts out the same as the last. Jake introduces himself, gets wood, and builds up his house while talking to us through signs. However, one of the things he said was strange. I messaged in a forum and got some feedback. I have friends from it. Now, it's not that uncommon for people to meet on forums. However, Jake is clearly afraid of being known. This characteristic likely forming from the bullying he mentioned in his last video. So this change of mind I felt had to be mentioned. Apart from this, Jake just plays normal, going into a cave enough that light is around, and almost finishing his house. Jake also mentions that he played Bedrock at a time. Seeing no correlation, I decided to check the description and also found nothing. After watching both videos and coming up with nothing, I was honestly thinking I was wasting my time. But still wanting to figure out what the point of all this was, I clicked the last video, and soon I would realize this would lead me down a much bigger rabbit hole. The third video starts exactly where he left off, with the signs still being placed. And very shortly after, Jake tells us that his friends want to play with him in a bit. So likely, this is the reason this video is the shortest yet. Besides that, Jake seems to stick to his routine of getting wood, building his house, and going into a cave. However, this time, he seems to not be as scared. In the previous videos, Jake would make sure to avoid dark caves, but in this one, he runs in. My theory is Jake is becoming different and gaining confidence through these new friends. For now, this is just speculation. Apart from this, Jake goes on mining for a bit before saying he doesn't have time to keep mining and heads back up. On the surface, he places a sign as if he wanted to say something before breaking it. And only a minute later, places another sign, which this happens. Wait, what? An unlisted video. Wait, what? This unlisted video doesn't start on the surface. Unlike the previous videos, he starts in a strip mine. And he continues for 4 more minutes until he tells us it's getting kinda late and starts to head back. Nothing is really out of the ordinary throughout the whole video, but after rewatching, I noticed something. You may have noticed in this clip, for a split second you can see a sign, and after enhancing the photo, it looks like a YouTube URL. However, after trying it, I realized it doesn't work. Other people in the comments have come to a similar conclusion. I even tried to use SoundCloud, Pinterest, and Telegram, and none of them worked either. However, I remembered in a previous ARG, you can make an unlisted YouTube playlist. So I tried that and I got it. 4 new unlisted videos, all from Jake. Now, can we take just a second to dissect this? Why would Jake put a sign in his world leading to a playlist, and on a video that he even said he probably wouldn't post? My ongoing theory is that Jake isn't in control of his channel anymore, or at least can't post some of his videos. That's why he put something to lead people like me to find these unlisted videos. I think that his new editor friend is preventing him from using his own channel. But honestly, the only way to know is to watch the new videos, starting with VitaWorld.mp4. Jake spawns into a random town with no items. There's a sign that says welcome to Vita and saying there's 10 members. So this new series is an SMP with the people from the forum. Jake spends a while walking around, discovering that he can't get items, also finding houses with people's names on them such as Mike and John. Jake then eventually walks to the edge of the town. Someone with the username Kelly Deli joins the game. Jake goes in to type something and decides not to, but 10 seconds later, Kelly sends a message. She greets him, and honestly, Jake seems to take a second to acknowledge it, but eventually says hi back. Jake, in normal fashion, hides his username, but doesn't seem to care for hiding Kelly's. She mentions how he seems new, and he says he joined from the forum. You can also see in the distance Kelly standing at a wooden house. Kelly says he shouldn't enter random people's houses, and he says of course, before asking if he can get his own house, and he goes back to the land picking the first house he entered. She says let me see, and we get our first close-up glimpse of Kelly. Jake asks if the wooden house is hers, and she says it is and that he shouldn't enter it. Jake wants to say why, but he just says okay, and asks Kelly for signs. She's confused on why, but he tells her he doesn't like his gamer tag. Eventually, she mentions how she can /nick him, and he asks to be named Jake. And as she says done, all his previous chats are now named Jake. Now, Jake asks a basic question. So, 9 other members? But Kelly takes a while to respond, and when she does, she mentions that there are issues and says Mike hasn't messaged her today. Now, I think someone not messaging for 1 day shouldn't be an issue, but she says he's probably upset and that it's not her fault, and says his name 3 times. This behavior is honestly a bit creepy. She did something wrong and now he's upset. And after Jake asks what, she re-clarifies that he shouldn't go into people's houses. So he walks home and she looks right at him, which I assume scared Jake so bad he ended the video early. This video leaves us with more questions than we started with. Like, who is Kelly? What even is Vita? And who are these other members? I did find out Vita means life in Latin, but besides that, there's no other leads. So I clicked on VitaWorld2.mp4. This video starts with Jake learning he can get items and heads to go get wood. With no Kelly in sight, this video was like his first few, him talking to us through signs, getting wood, and going through caves. Now, Jake isn't necessarily that talkative, but in this video he seems to talk more than usual. He talks about Vita and Kelly, and how he thinks she's nice and he likes her, but she's also strange. Also, Jake mentions how he badly wants to go to the house, which, speaking of which, the house is definitely the most notable build. All the other houses are modern and nice, while Kelly's is a random wooden shack on the hill overlooking all the other houses. And this exact thing is likely why Jake feels tempted to go look for himself. Besides that, Jake continues walking around until the sun goes down, and Jake has a, I guess, more deep talk with us. He says that it's nice here, and it's peaceful, but more importantly, he says that maybe one day he will become a staff member for Vita, and how he's got so many ideas to make people more comfortable. Jake proceeds to stare at the sky for a while, trying to see if two stars touch, then saying he misses Kelly. Now, apart from Kelly's odd behavior, she seems like a real friend to Jake. So why are all these videos unlisted? I honestly couldn't say, but I decided to look at the playlist again and noticed that there seems to be a missing video. The order of the videos go Vita World 1 and 2, then Vita Play 2. Why the skip of Vita Play 1? Is this .mp4 supposed to be Vita Play? And even if it is, why would he post it out of order? But to get that answer, we gotta watch Vita Play 2.mp4. This video starts differently than the rest. He starts in his house, and within seconds we get a message from Mike and John, which is the only time we've seen any other members besides Kelly. They greet themselves, and Jake walks around until Mike eventually asks Jake to come to his house, and we get a conversation between the two. On the surface, Mike is asking normal questions like is he new and how he likes Vita, but he starts placing signs asking Jake to stay quiet, and literally as soon as Mike says beware, Kelly joins the game. Jake asks why beware, and Mike says KE, which we can imply as Kelly. What we observe is that Mike clearly knows something is wrong with this group, or even just Kelly. But Jake isn't picking up on these cues, I guess. Either way, Kelly soon asks Mike to come over, saying it's happening again. So Jake is left alone and starts walking around until he sees John through a window and starts talking to him. The conversation is a bit lackluster, so I'll skip over it. Although in the middle of it, Jake out of nowhere says he feels something is off and that the place looks pasted, which would make sense why Kelly's house looks normal and the rest is modern. Either way, Jake ends up walking back to his house to find a block of bedrock with a flower on it. I mean, clearly this was placed in by Kelly, but why? And Jake doesn't even know if he placed it. But that's not even the biggest thing of concern, because Kelly randomly puts Morse code in chat. And Jake starts asking where Mike and John are, and they act like nothing happened. And Kelly says she's getting tired of watching, and it wasn't hers. Jake sees that both Kelly and Mike are in spectator. Now, what just happened? Why was there a bedrock block in his house? And speaking of which, what was the Morse code she put in chat? Jake doesn't know, as stated in the description, so I put it into a decoder and got, "In this world, there's nothing for me." Something is wrong. Kelly is a danger to Jake, and I assume he even knows this. So why does he stay here? She's going insane, and even Mike mentioned it. Wait, oh my god. Mike is the editor. I thought Jake placed a sign in his world to hide it from the editor, but Mike places signs to get people to find these unlisted videos he's keeping up. Although, how did Mike get into his world? Well, actually that was already answered, because for a split second while Jake and John were talking, the mod Essentials pops up, which allows people to join each other, and through this, Mike places a sign to hide from Jake because he knows Jake is already corrupted. This religion group, or even a cult, clearly has something wrong with it, and that's apparent through this leader Kelly. Now, there is still one video to watch, but this one is by far the most disturbing. And that's it. The series concludes with Jake going to the house, seeing a body, and as the door opens, Kelly joins. Now, was this just a channel to scare people? Was Vita fake? I wanted to believe so, but something in my gut told me it couldn't be. So I looked for hours, rewatching all the videos in 0.25 speed, and nothing showed up. But I noticed something in the house video. In the background, there's a very faint sound. The same sound I remember being in Castor's video. I didn't even think about it at the time, but it's clearly a spectrogram, a type of cipher that uses frequencies to show images. So for the last time, I opened a decoder and put the sound in. If you can't tell, this is a Google Drive link, and after spending literally 15 minutes trying to type it in, I finally opened it. It contained 4 files, 2 text, and 2 videos. So I decided to click on stop.txt first. If you are reading this, stop, turn back, and delete this folder. If you are reading this, then you are being targeted by an organization that is powerful enough to backdoor your Minecraft world and leave clues for you to find. As you can see, so can I. Please, please turn back. Now, if you don't want to, that's your choice. I left everything I learned about this organization in this folder. He is smart. However, if you don't sign up, he can't do anything. If you do, then I'm sorry. If you log off, he will call your family, or in some cases, I've seen worse. You may or may not have noticed that since the spectrogram was in both Jake and Castor's video, we know that this doc is a last hope to get people to not join an organization, which we can also assume is Vita. How does he backdoor people's Minecrafts? Who is the he the person is referring to, and what does the signing up mean? We don't know, but honestly, I'd rather just keep investigating and look at the Vita information doc. And after opening, we immediately see that is a doc of every member based on what they want to be /nicked as. I did notice that there are only a few members from 4 years ago, one of which says me, which means this entire drive is likely from Mike. I also noticed there was 2 more pages, and I saw something. Castor? Wait, what? He joined but didn't sign. What does that even mean? At the time, I didn't really seem to care, but this being the first mention of Castor in so long made me even more determined. The last page in the doc said members that are gone, and the only name being there is Kelly. Why is she gone of all people? Where is she? I assume she left Vita and someone took over, but that's just my theory. And that being both text files, I started the first video. This video starts with someone logging into a Minecraft server. We find out that the player's username is Astrox. For simplicity, I'm gonna call him Astro. Astro tells us that he is 3 episodes away from 100, which means that this video is part of a series on an SMP. He then heads out of his base and says he needs mud for the house project, and starts walking into a random direction. It doesn't take too long before he finds something we're familiar with. Initially, Astro thinks it's just lag, but when he gets closer, he realizes it's not. This is the second time we have seen this, with the only explanation of it being because of Vita backdooring people's Minecraft world. Astro continues to ignore it, and thinks it's just another person on the server named Dez. The rest of the video is just Astro walking around, going into someone's house, and dying in a cave. However, what is important is the very end. If you didn't notice it, there is an extra server on the tab that wasn't there when Astro logged on today. How is this even possible? I don't know, but this finally gives us an explanation on how people join. And that's the end of the video. Which means we have one more video to watch, and the name alone tells us what we're in for. This video is also from the perspective of Astro, as we can see from the skin. And we see him join the random server. Within seconds, we see a chat. And after Astro says he wants to be nicked as Astrox, a more disturbing question comes in chat. Astro thankfully finds this weird and says he's not going to do that, right before saying he's got something and then relogs. And when he returns, we see something I've never seen an ARG protagonist do before and flies over the wall. Astro downloaded a hack client to not have to give his number away. Anyways, he proceeds to say nice try and then leaves the building. He then enters a place we aren't familiar with, so I'll just call it True Spawn. And it doesn't take long before he meets someone. We learn that Astro can't type in chat. So the player places a sign that says hi and asks if he's a new face. Astro realizes he also can't place signs because he didn't sign in. So he answers by nodding his head. As Astro looks into the horizon, we see a statue, which Astro obviously wouldn't know, but we do. It's Jake's skin. Which makes sense. He previously talks about becoming a higher staff for Vita, and the fact Astro can't type in chat and the player talking on signs both being traits Jake did, we can imply that Jake is now the leader. And what happened to Kelly is still unknown, but we still got 25 minutes left of the video. After Jake is done talking to the player, he starts walking around. It is mostly just random stuff like buildings and event spots, but we do get to see the land and how beautiful it truly is. After a bit of walking around, he comes across a few players. Since Astro can't place or break blocks, he's currently stuck down here. He also brings up the point that they might know he flew over spawn. Lucky for him, they don't ask any questions. Anyways, Astro decides to just leave by jumping down, and conveniently, even after somewhat following, they actually do stop asking questions. I guess Astro was so fed up, he left True Spawn to go towards a mail station. And it doesn't take too long before a player enters. Astro still can't place signs, and I guess the mailman realizes that and gives him a book and quill. After greeting themselves, Astro decides to leave. He then heads to a few more places, going through chests and exploring before heading back to True Spawn. When he arrives, you immediately see the players again, and you see them fighting. The reason I bring this up is because it will become important later. Astro then continues to walk around, probably trying to avoid them and eventually encountering somebody new. Astro continues to follow them, and as he does, he eventually misses a parkour jump. Now, whether this was intentional or not, I can't tell, but when he spawns in, he flies over the wall again and picks up loot from the ground that the players left. And after stealing, he heads back up to where the player was, and there's nothing. Which Astro gets an idea to turn on player ESP. you don't know what player ESP is, it shows the outline of players regardless if they're invisible or in spectator, which means there have been people watching Astro. And Astro continues to try to ignore them, assuming that he wouldn't want them knowing he has hacks. And as he does, one seems to try to lead him somewhere.
Rivers run dry, dust breaths in the air. 2 dark days, do you have a tear to spare? Make a promise, the world awaits. It's heavy just breathing through this debate. Start a riot. When they love you too much, know it's fake, or even hate. Don't be scared if the weight paralyzes your state at the gate. No, it's a lot to take in, it's designed to know when, don't wait. Don't be scared when the weight paralyzes your state at the gate.
And we return to the same wooden house, now with Jake as the owner. And as Astro tries to walk in, there's barrier blocks and concrete preventing him from entering. But Astro has come this far using hacks, so he's going to use the most common one. And all he sees is a single lectern in a basement. But him being an adventurer and the door being blocked prevents him from opening it. I thought this would probably be the end, but Astro has one more idea. That book confirms the fact that Vita is stalking people. What best suited for and too smart means I can't even guess, but this cult is going beyond Minecraft and tracking people's actual documents. For what or for who, I don't know, but after watching this video, I ran out of leads. For what I do know is Castor is safe, probably laying low, but my best hope is Mike manages to put a stop to all of this. So, to end the video, be safe.